We're still looking at the issues around the CPI rebasing and, of course, the MPC decisions that happened last week there in, the effect on the larger economy. A lot of analysts have been speaking about the outcome of those very critical decisions there. I'm talking about macroeconomic decisions there from the larger economy, from both the fiscal and, of course, the monetary authority. I'm being joined now to talk more on this issue by Adegboyega Adebajo. He's an investment banker, of course, lead advisor, Amethyst Ashlar Advisory. He joins me virtually from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Adebajo.
Good morning, Yusuf. It's a pleasure to be online with you again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on Business Daily. Let's look at these numbers again critically. My last guest spoke about that decision and how it will have a positive impact for foreign investment. What do you make of that? I mean, looking at foreign investment, but this does not translate to any economic benefit to the larger population of the country.
Well, he's right about one thing. When inflation is lower as officially calculated and interest rates are higher than inflation, it simply means the returns on investments will be much higher. And as you well know, there were some federal government securities issued a while back. They were all oversubscribed. And with inflation coming down to where it is now at 24, those are going to be much higher yields. Now, you're right in wondering how this affects the larger population other than just those people who are able to invest. The thing is, if more foreign investors come in and try to take advantage of the margin there is, and I if guidedly, what you have is a more stable naira and a naira that starts to look stronger because of the demand. Sadly, one should bear in mind that some of this money is what we used to call hot money, or what we call hot money, as it were, in that these guys who invest are just here to take advantage of the gap. And as soon as there's the slightest opportunity or the slightest chance of some kind of return anywhere else in the world, they would exit and move away. So yes, there's stability for the naira, there's appreciation for the naira, and the larger populace will take advantage of that. But if that is not consistent and runs through, then the impact will be felt by the larger population. We're going to start seeing inflation jump up again.
Mr. Adebajo, our reality is the same. If I should get from what you said, our reality is the same. It's not like inflation has dropped from 34% to 24%. But if you are a foreign investor and you want to come and invest in Nigeria, will you use the rebasing of CPI as your yardstick, or you look at some other economic indicators before you bring in your money?
Well, there's a lot to be cautious about. Again, like I did say, there's the official inflation figure. Okay, so that's a starting point. And yes, you're absolutely right. If you're wondering as an investor, would you just use those figures as fundamentals? No. It's a cluster of items you're going to look at to formulate your investment policy. How much stability is the government driving at in terms of what they're doing? If inflation has dropped because of rebasing, I need to look again at what those items are in the basket. And as you well know, it wasn't just a matter of rebasing, it was also reconfiguring the items that make up the consumer price index basket. They've included some items and some items have been removed. But ultimately, the two key items that drive headline inflation are energy costs and food costs. Where energy costs are concerned, we're starting to see some degree of stability. And where food costs are concerned, I still worry, though, that in key metropolitan areas, there's an arbitrary increase by sellers where food prices are concerned. But for those who are able to get back all the way to the real markets, to the farms, prices are relatively stable there and meaningful. So let's see what happens over the next quarter in terms of how the exchange rate moves. And I have no doubt, Yusuf, that there will be certain persons who will probably have factored in the difference between December 2024 and the January 2025 figure. There's an element of difference between those figures. So if 2025 January inflation figures move, then I can say by what extent will December have moved itself. So what I'm getting at here is that some economists are probably going to try to run a parallel thing just to compare whether or not there is a slower rate of increase or there is a drop in what would have been.
But does this, in your opinion, bring to question the credibility of data from the National Bureau of Statistics?
No, I wouldn't doubt the credibility, especially since the NBS have been open to the fact that the basket itself was reconfigured. And if the basket was reconfigured, it's a matter of some items being removed and some items being added. And of course, the fundamental thing again becomes the rebasing, the starting point from which you're looking at the rates at which food prices rise. And so if they do that, it's 24. Let me say this, that even at 24, you know, we all feel, oh, inflation has dropped significantly because it was 34 in December and it's now come to 24 and all. But the point is, if you've rebased and you're getting as high a figure as 24, almost 25%, then you know that there's still the inclination for prices to rise. And that means there's still a lot of work to be done in the economy in terms of policies.
Indeed, some say rebasing with the base year of January 2024 is nothing short of feel-good economics and blatantly deceptive. Some of them are saying that it's an attempt to erase the punishing inflationary effects of fuel subsidy, floating of exchange rate, and of course, the tariff hikes that we've seen across various sectors.
Well, Yusuf, you know, people have said, you know, I've read this somewhere, that there are three types of lies. And there's white lies, there's damned lies, and then there's statistics. An apology to all statisticians out there. That's not to say that, you know, the field or the discipline of statistics is deceitful or deceitful. The key thing here is that if I come to your house twice and you're not at home on both occasions, then I can say that 100% of the time I've been to your house, you haven't been at home. And if on the third occasion you're there, I can say 2/3 of the time you're not at home. So statistics is about data and then how the data is interpreted. So for me, what's important is that the NBS have shared with us what the elements and the methods are by which they have arrived at their figures. It's up to us to be able to look at those methods, and rather than question the outcome itself, maybe to debate around the methods, if for any reason one feels those methods are not appropriate. But otherwise, they're the official figures. We use the word official notedly.
Well, the concern actually is not really about the figures, it's about the effect on the larger population. Is it about bringing out numbers? Or how is it impacting on the larger population? When people are hungry, the high cost of living is very high, and you come up to tell somebody that you are using a different methodology all of a sudden to, reduce the inflation numbers, which in the real sense has not reduced in the market. That's the major concern, Mr. Adebajo.
Yeah, you're right, Yusuf. And I guess this is a point where, you know, most Nigerians out there, because you simply need to drive into a filling station. You need to sometimes walk into places where there are queues and there are people talking. And I strive to do this at times so that I can hear what's going on the streets. Yes, the figures and the government officials figures are there. The rebasing has happened. But to the man on the streets, he doesn't feel in his pockets that inflation has dropped, even if there was no rebasing. What is important to him is that the amount of naira in his pockets isn't increasing in terms of its ability to purchase items. And for as long as he can get less items for more naira, it's going to be a worry for him. And that's talking pure economics. And that's where we come to the aspect of the purchasing of the naira. I caught onto an item in the news over the weekend where there was an appeal to traders not to arbitrarily increase their prices. If people feel, and these are traders, these are vendors, these are matter of service providers, if they feel that they need to continue to increase prices, then I can tell you that for the man on the streets, regardless of what numbers, what exchange rate, whatever comes out, his own measurement is what can he get with 100 naira? What can he get with 500? What can he get with 1,000 naira? What can he get with 10,000 naira? And so on. So that's what's important to everyone and anyone.
Indeed, as we wrap up this conversation now, let's look at the MPC decision, talking about the CBN Monetary Policy Committee meeting last week, Thursday decision. The decision, MPR, as you know, was kept unchanged. Of course, other parameters were left as it were from the last meeting of MPC. In Cardoso's word, he said, "We have seen greater confidence in our market. Naira now more competitive, increased interest from investors there." That was part of what Mr. Cardoso said, talking about the CBN governor. Do you agree with him that there is increased confidence? And of course, is Naira competitive? If you compare it to the other major currencies around the world.
From empirical evidence, Yusuf, the Naira has done so well so far this year. We haven't seen volatility in its movement. Yes, there's been appreciation and depreciation, but it's been mostly appreciation and stability, mostly. I haven't, and I would not speak directly to the rates at which it dropped and to what extent it rose again, but it's somewhere around where, there's some degree of stability and, there's some planning possible. And this will no doubt give the central bank its sense of confidence. We also spoke earlier in the year, if you recall, especially about where the rate was going to move to and why the rate was kept there. Now, this is the first MPC in quite a while that the rate has not been increased. And I wasn't surprised to hear that it will be kept at that level. At 27, you have it 3% higher than the rate of inflation. That simply means one thing. No matter how high the cost of borrowing is perceived to be, the point is that you may still be able to earn returns above inflation. Yes, it's that high, because if the cost of borrowing were lower, the CBN has a fear that people will borrow Naira to buy dollars. And that puts pressure on the Naira again. But at a high rate of return at 27, it's attractive for foreign investors to come here. So the converse is what is being seen and what's being experienced now. A lot more dollars coming in to take into government securities and to enjoy the yields there. Can this be maintained throughout the year? It's totally up to the dexterity of the central bank, their capacity to keep the figures and the data within perspective and to come up with the right policies on time for the markets to be stable and to do what it's supposed to do. That's as much as I would see regarding where the monetary policy rate is now and why it's been kept stable. But I think it's a good idea. I believe it's a good idea to keep it stable at this time.
All right, Mr. Adebajo, we hope that Naira will continue to appreciate. Of course, at the level it is now, is still way away. We don't know whether it's overvalued or undervalued, But we look to see how
Yeah.
things will pan out, like you rightly said, in the course of the year. I must thank
And
you,
and, and, and,
Adegboyega
and yeah,
Adebajo.
and Yusuf, just on a final word, the key thing is when we look again at these figures after 1 quarter or 90 days of operating these policies, then we can see and understand
All right.
impacts.
All right. All right. I must thank you, Adegboyega Adebajo, lead advisor, Amethyst and Ashlar Advisory. I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today.
Thank you very much, Yusuf.
All right. With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogun.